Hello, it's Ian, Somerset News Network. It's Monday, the 9th of February. Last night and this morning, two news items going round the newsrooms. One was saying that Starmer was due to resign today. They were speculating. Don't know if it was true, but they were commenting that it looked like Starmer may resign today. Don't see it myself. I think he's going to stay there, till he gets a direct hit from a Zeppelin raid. So, the other thing that was happening last night and this morning is Labour Party activists have been doing the news rounds. Now, they've come up with, we haven't got anybody qualified to take over. Starmer shouldn't resign. With the world situation it is at the moment and Iran, Starmer shouldn't resign. The markets are jittery. Starmer shouldn't resign. We need stable government. And this is doing the rounds. And for MPs to stand up, and Labour activists, to say they've got nobody qualified to be the Prime Minister to take over from Starmer. I don't think any of them are qualified to take over from Starmer, but that's a different point. They're saying it themselves to keep Starmer in power. Now, yesterday, things came out about the Epstein files. People are finding things. People are spending time and going through it. Things look bad for Andrew. He was giving Epstein communications as business envoy for the UK to Epstein. Mandelson was giving information from the Treasury to Epstein. Both of them are now compromised. They've compromised the security of the United Kingdom. Epstein was more than likely using it to make money, knowing where companies are going to do well and where to put shares. And it's now alleged that he was selling the information to the KGB. Well, I said before, I don't expect it's only the KGB. I expect it's Mossad, CIA, and MI6. I think they're all involved. It's a murky world that they're in. Mandelson is compromised. He's a gay man. That's nothing wrong with that. He's over 18. He can do what he likes. But he had a Brazilian boyfriend. Some call him a rent boy. I don't know. I'm not saying. But he had a Brazilian boyfriend, which he then married to make it look legitimate. My view, allegedly. Now, Mandelson is photographed in Epstein's flat with a young lady in a bathrobe, and he got no trousers on. Very odd. Was it hidden camera, or did his husband take the photograph, which was then his boyfriend? Don't know the answer. I pose the question. Well, what have they got on Andrew? Andrew was photographed with girls in Epstein's locality. Was Epstein taking photographs of people in compromising positions to blackmail them? Here, Andrew. This is what I think Epstein would have said. Here, Andrew. Wink, wink. Know what I mean? Say no more. Look, Andrew. You're a business envoy. Give me some info. If you just let me have the emails, I'll make these photographs disappear. Well, he failed them, didn't he? He didn't make them public, but he could have used that as leverage. Now, I remember I was working for the civil service at the time. And I was going up to London once a month for meetings in Marsham Street, which is the Department of the Environment. And you got 2 hours on a train from just outside of Bristol, all the way straight into Paddington. And then on the underground, into St James's, up at St James's, and then walk down through, past New Scotland Yard, to Marsham Street. It was fascinating. I did it for about a year, and I was going up about once a month to London to these big meetings because I was a representative for the union. And it was interesting times. And being in a room with civil servants that have never done a proper job in their lives, trying to sort out a business deal. Fascinating to watch. I only worked in small businesses. But you buy something and you sell it. And you sell it for more money than you bought for. That's how you make money. You pay your wages, you pay your overheads, and then you got a profit. It ain't rocket science. And I stood my ground as a small business guy. And I was running a ring around them. They didn't have a clue. Now, these people are running the country. They worked their way up, and they're now in the hands of power. A couple of the people that were in those meetings I see on the telly as civil servants, high-ranking civil servants. They're grade 3s now, I think. Not named, but I know them because I saw them because I was in meetings with them. They were only EOs and HEOs at the time. But how come Labour cannot find anybody of quality to take over from Starmer? So he's got to stay there. So Starmer is as crooked as Mandelson and the Prince of Darkness. Well, Mandelson is called the Prince of Darkness, isn't he? How long's it going to last? How long can this country last like this? I got mates in America, and they're laughing at us. They're saying, can't you get rid of him? Your country is a laughingstock. Putting people in jail like Lucy Connolly for Facebook posts. It's craziness. My American friend said, you ought to go and contact the Judiciary Committee because they're looking into European free speech and tell my story. So I wrote a synopsis of my story and I've sent it off. I don't know what's going to happen. Now, the guy that read Father Ted, he was in Congress in one of the committees giving evidence. He made a tweet about men thinking they're women. Transgender, they call it. He got into London, into Heathrow, and he was met by 4 armed police officers with machine guns and arrested for his tweet that he made in the United States. He's now defected to the United States because he doesn't feel safe in this country. And he's one voice that's screaming and shouting and telling everybody what happened to him. Well, it's the same that happened to me. I didn't have armed police, mind, but they tried it on. Luckily, It was before the election in 2024. It was May or June. I made a comment on a Facebook post. The local council had the pride flag and then said it was an equal opportunity. I said the pride flag didn't need to be there because that's singling out and promoting a lifestyle. I thought I was right. It was a comment, it was a belief. It's what I thought. It wasn't offensive. So I get a phone call from local plod. We've got to interview you over a Facebook post. Okay. Which one? Can't tell you. You've got to come in for an interview. So we had emails backwards and forwards. And then he said, I'm not talking to you by email anymore. Boop. I told him I had the right of free speech under the Bill of Rights, 1688. It didn't get anywhere. It was totally ignored. It started off as a non-crime hate incident. Then it became a hate crime. And by the time I walked into the police station 4 months later, or 3.5 months later, I should say, it was malicious communications. Malicious communications is 2 years inside for a single Facebook comment about the pride flag. Turns out that the government, under Starmer, when he was the Crown Prosecution Service Director, issued a letter to the Crown Prosecution Service and the police that victims should be believed. So because the alleged victim was offended by what I said, that was now a crime and he had to be believed. Well, it was a she, and it was a sock puppet, and it wasn't real. So when I pointed out that the name was a sock puppet of a LGBTQ activist, and that he ought to talk to her and make sure that she is a real person and not rely on just an email, which is what he had. He just had an email with the photograph of the Facebook post. He didn't do anything. He didn't try. Turns out he's mates with the LGBTQ activist. If it was after the election, I think I would have been alongside Lucy Connolly in prison. I tell you. That's just a simple little comment that wasn't offensive, that was factual, that was true. And because some LGBTQ thinks it's offensive, the police jump all over me. This is what's happening in this country. We've got the tyranny of this Labour government, and Starmer is allowing it to happen, and he's got to go. The best thing Starmer can do is call an election now, have it in May along with the local elections, and keep the local elections in place that he's stopped already, and let the people decide. Let us decide. If we're a real democracy, and he believes in democracy, he should let us have an election. So there's no need for Starmer to resign. Just let him stay there. Nigel Farage would love that. Because who's going to take over? Mastermind David Lammy? Claire Rayner? The tax cheat? Oh, it's just unbelievable. Wiz Streeting? Oh, he's a mate of Mandelson's, by the way. You can't make this stuff up, I tell you. Something came out. You know, we were supposed to be giving the islands to another country and that it was all done by the EU, they're now saying that Starmer has citizenship of that country and that he was working with the Russians and the Chinese through the UN to prove that we didn't own the island and that we ought to give it back. Mauritius, was it? I don't know. I can't remember. But if Starmer's got citizenship of another country, should he be our Prime Minister? I think he's got to go. I think they ought to put an interim leader in and let's have an election and get it over and done with. Let the people decide. Anyway, Ian, bye-bye for now.